Hi guys, so this is an unscheduled video because I'm actually away for the weekend and Boris Johnson dropped this bombshell, this Brexit bombshell. So I felt the need to respond to it because I think it's important. Now, why is Boris Johnson walking away? Well, actually, I don't think he's actually walking away. I think he's using this as another threat. He's using it as another way to get concessions from the European Union, in the same way that he threatened to break international law using the Internal Market Bill to undermine the Good Friday Agreement and the Withdrawal Agreement. At the end of the day, I mentioned this before, I don't think he's going to go through with the threats from the Internal Market Bill to undermine the Withdrawal Agreement. That's more an issue to deal with Scotland, but for Northern Ireland, I don't think he's going to go through with that. In the same way, I don't think he's going to go through with walking away from the European Union. The European Union has said that they're open to negotiations for a number of weeks still. Boris Johnson has said that Michel Barnier can return to London for talks unless if he has something to offer. I think, once again, this is saber rattling. I think this is an attempt to extract concessions from the European Union. But I don't think it will work. I think Boris is playing tough because he needs to. He's tried this before. The European Union didn't back down. He backed down in a sense. He bent towards their will. He made concessions. And I think at this stage he's pretending to play tough. He's pretending to be tough. He's playing tough. And he needs something because he needs to appear tough to the British public, not so much to the European Union, because he realizes, I assume he realizes that they're not going to bend at this stage. They have been saying for years, we're preparing for no deal. So it's no longer a threat to us. I think it's an attempt to appear tough in front of the British public. Because he needs a trade deal once again. He can't leave the European Union, he can't leave the transition period without a deal because his career would be over. He has promised, in a sense, to the British public, yes, we're going to get a trade deal. He's been trumpeting a trade deal continually. And even though his negotiator, David Frost, has been sort of half-arsed negotiating with the European Union, I still think Boris wants some sort of trade deal. Now, this is just, of course, an attempt to extract concessions, like with the threats to the withdrawal agreement. I don't think Boris is going to walk away. But Boris Johnson is unpredictable. He's as predictable as the Irish summer. So, if I were to put money on the table, I would say that Boris Johnson is just threatening the European Union, and he wants to appear tough. He probably doesn't even think he's going to get some concessions, but he wants to run down the clock because there's still time. Maybe they'll do some negotiations behind the scenes, behind closed doors. But once again, this is a threat, an empty threat in a sense. It's not going to work on the European Union. The European Union have bigger issues to deal with, the pandemic, China, the United States. They're more concerned with those issues than with Brexit. And any threat that Boris Johnson makes towards the European Union is pretty much empty. So I think, once again, this is to appear tough for Brexiteers. Look, Boris Johnson is standing up to the European Union. He's willing to walk away. He's the tough guy. He'll get his. He'll probably force them back to the negotiations. If the European Union say no, well, Boris will probably bend, I think. And then he will play it as, see, look, I was willing to walk away and they came back to me. So I think at the end of all of this, Boris will get some sort of bare bones deal. But he's playing these stupid games, and I really don't see the benefit, especially to the British public and to British industry, regarding this. Remember that, the counter to this from many people will be, well, he's telling businesses to prepare for a no-deal Brexit. But Boris Johnson was telling businesses to prepare for Brexit back on last year before the 31st of October, even though he knew that the Brexit would not take place on the 31st of October last year. So even though he knew it, he was telling businesses prepare for Brexit. So I think he's doing the same thing again, telling businesses prepare for a no deal, even though he knows he's not going to go with no deal. But I could be wrong. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.